ICBM satellite technology and a hell of a lot of manpower, right? So this occupation starts in the year 2025. They set off an EMP blast that's hidden in a satellite that they've launched. And the game actually kicks off 2 years into that occupation. This is Boone, a squad leader, who's leading you through this resistance headquarters, this household. And our premises can really be described by this term, the familiar has become alien. So you can see here that America has been twisted. It's been twisted by occupation, it's been twisted by sort of the collapse of America, by energy crisis, and that's all reflected in what the resistance is doing here. So in the middle of this abandoned suburbs, because I'll explain a little more why they're abandoned in a little bit, but you can see there's these 3 backyards. They're covered by a camo scrim to avoid detection from the KPA. And there's women and children here. This is not just a game about combat set in America. This is a game about experiencing what occupied America would actually be like. So as he leads you through here, you can see that there's homeschooling going on. The guy in the back there is a tinkerer. He's fixing a lot of parts that have been damaged by the EMP strike. No shortage of things to fix in this world. And Boone explains to you, we're covered by the camo scrims. We got solar panel and windmills to give us the power, and they're completely self-sufficient in this little hideout here.
So this is how they have to live under this invasion, is that right?
Right, that's right. And this is really a side of the game we really want to deliver on and let players explore, is how did the civilians adapt to this occupation, and how did life change for Americans? Because whenever you hear about occupation, you see it on the news and oppression. It's always happening to other people, across the world. But what if it was happening on America's doorstep? And that's really the high premise behind Homefront.
Because these people they're not army, they're not special forces or anything, are they? They're just normal resistance fighters, is that right?
That's right, they're actually civilians turned freedom fighters, and you're fighting alongside them, all fighting for this cause, The army, the military has been fractured. As part of the backstory, I'll explain it when we see the map here, but the Mississippi was irradiated, so it's just a radiation wasteland, and it's essentially split the country in 2. Now, we're not saying that the North Koreans, it's actually a greater Korean republic that it's grown into, has occupied the entire country. There's still an American government, there's still an American military. They've seized Hawaii, they've seized San Francisco, and they have key parts of the U.S., which you can see on this map here. This is what the resistance knows so far.
That's a big nuclear waste zone in the middle there, is that right?
So that's the Mississippi River there. They don't have a lot of information on what's going on in the East Coast, but those circles are suspected locations where the KPA are. Obviously, they would have went after military bases in key states. So their philosophy really is to establish a foothold. Kind of like the smallest germ can kill the largest giant. Once it's been placed in there, then it can spread and grow.
So who are you in the game?
So you're a former Marine pilot. You actually begin the game trying to be recruited by the Koreans as well as by the resistance for your piloting skills. And your skills come into play later in the game, and there are vehicles in this game as well. So you're really going to sort of live up to your needs and your you don't talk in the game. It's fairly Gordon Freeman style, as is the in-game storytelling. We're going to try to avoid or are avoiding cutscenes in the game. It's all delivered, narratively in the game as you walk through these environments. And when you explore this level in particular, each of these characters will give you information about what they're doing. So this guy, a Stairmaster, was hooked up so he doesn't have to carry water by hand anymore. It's pumped throughout the area. You can see there's livestock and agriculture going on here.
So this basically, is your goal here to, I guess, try and make people, be more involved in the story? Like, you're not just fighting, just for yourself or for a nameless cause, is that right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's like the places you grew up, suburbs, places you shop, places you raise your children, how have they been transformed, and how did regular, everyday, ordinary people adapt to this occupation? If you don't explore that side of it, you're not going to get any of the emotional depth that we want to deliver. If you only deal with the combat, you're just missing out on one of the most intriguing parts of the whole premise.
But there is obviously, this is a shooter, so there'll be obviously combat coming up, is that right?
Yeah, we're about to see that pretty quickly here. So as you can see, the Resistance have dug some tunnels to get them in and out of this area, which is essentially an oasis that they have, or their HQ. So as we go through this tunnel, we're going to jump ahead to the next chapter in the game. It's kind of like 12 hours later in the campaign. And we're going to pick up the gun. You have to get in quickly and get out.
And what are we seeing there? This is the start of that mission, is that right?
Right, so we've jumped into this mission partway through. This is a squad mate of yours, Rihanna. she chokes out this Korean guard, and now she's going to lead you onto this rooftop.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so where are we at here?
All right, so we're on an overwatch position for the raid that's about to occur. You see there's a Lumber Liquidator store in the background. To the right, there's a Hooters, and we're really trying to focus on real brands and making it a real America. So as he comes down here, you can hear her say, like, there's a lot of them in there, and really that's part of it. You're outnumbered, so you need to figure out a way from a guerrilla tactics standpoint, you know, how is the resistance going to assault this place? So it starts off with this decoy by bringing the band in, which is playing some Hunk of Burnin' Love by Elvis. It draws in the North Koreans here, and then you'll see what happens in a second.
Okay. Now that's quite a nice touch there. I understand that you actually have some pretty big riders. Actually, wait, we'll see what's happening right now.
All right, so this is a white phosphorus flare. It's a pretty nasty weapon against the Geneva Convention type of thing, but the resistance, one thing we really want to do is they need to be ruthless. And we've been working with John Milius, as you mentioned. He's done a lot of writing and direction for us to really help us bring this world to life. He's the writer-director of Apocalypse Now and Red Dawn. And he's really guided us a lot. And a lot of these ideas here were his, actually. The Elvis and the band coming in and, you know, using the white phosphorus as a guerrilla tactic.
Just for folks that don't know, what is white phosphorus? What does it do to you?
So essentially it's like a hot burning chemical, I believe.